The meeting in the rainstorm. Amelia Hart lived a life defined by struggle and hard work. Her late parents had left her a small horse ranch, tucked away in a quiet countryside village, a place she cherished deeply. The ranch was her sanctuary, filled with memories of her parents teaching her to ride, care for the animals, and love the land. But it was also a constant reminder of the debt they had incurred before their passing. Each day, Amelia worked tirelessly to keep the ranch afloat, taking odd jobs in the village and sacrificing her personal dreams to hold on to the only connection she had to her family. Across the state, Liam Prescott lived an entirely different life. A tech billionaire who had built a reputation for being both visionary and relentless, Liam had everything most people could only dream of: mansions, luxury cars, and a string of successful ventures. Yet beneath the surface of his success, Liam felt hollow. He had lost touch with the simple joys of life, his days consumed by board meetings and negotiations. The life he had built felt more like a gilded cage, and he often dreamed of escaping it, if only for a little while. One fateful evening, a fierce storm swept across the countryside. Amelia was returning from the village in her weather-worn truck, navigating the slick, winding roads. Rain battered her windshield, and lightning illuminated the darkened sky. She spotted something unusual: a sleek, black luxury car tilted into a ditch at the side of the road. The driver's side door was slightly ajar, and steam rose from the crumpled hood. Amelia pulled over, her heart racing. She grabbed her flashlight and raincoat before stepping out into the storm. As she approached the car, she saw a man inside, slumped against the seat, unconscious. Without hesitation, she opened the door and shook his shoulder. "Sir, can you hear me?" she yelled, her voice barely audible over the storm. The man groaned and opened his eyes, revealing a sharp, chiseled face. He looked disoriented but managed to nod. What happened?" "You crashed. Can you move?" Amelia asked, her voice steady despite her concern. He nodded weakly, but when he tried to step out of the car, he stumbled. Without thinking, Amelia wrapped her arm around his waist to steady him. The man was surprisingly heavy, and she struggled to lead him to her truck. "I'll take you to my place," she said, opening the passenger door. "The hospital's too far in this weather." The man didn't argue, his exhaustion evident. Once they were both inside the truck, Amelia handed him a towel from the glove compartment. "What's your name?" "Liam," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Amelia," she replied, glancing at him briefly before focusing on the road. "You're lucky I came by. That ditch could have filled with water." Liam managed a weak smile. "Thank you." When they arrived at the ranch, Amelia led Liam into the modest farmhouse. The living room was cozy, with mismatched furniture and a wood-burning stove that provided much-needed warmth. Amelia guided him to the couch and fetched a first-aid kit. "You've got a nasty bump on your head," she said, dabbing at the wound with a clean cloth. "Nothing serious, though." Liam observed her as she worked. Her hands were calloused but gentle, her expression focused. Despite her worn clothes and the simplicity of her surroundings, there was a strength in her that intrigued him. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. Amelia paused and looked at him. "Because you needed help. Why wouldn't I?" Her answer was so straightforward that Liam didn't know how to respond. He nodded, feeling a strange sense of gratitude he hadn't experienced in years. As the storm raged on, Amelia made a simple dinner of soup and bread. Liam ate quietly, the warmth of the food and the crackling fire easing the tension in his body. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace. After dinner, Amelia showed him to the guest room. "Get some rest. We'll figure out what to do about your car in the morning." Liam nodded, but as he lay on the simple bed, he couldn't sleep. His thoughts kept returning to Amelia, her unassuming kindness, her quiet strength. He was used to people treating him differently because of his wealth and status, but Amelia didn't seem to care about any of that. To her, he was just a man who needed help. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Building bridges. Liam woke the next morning to the faint sound of horses neighing and the rhythmic clinking of metal tools. He blinked, momentarily disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings. The small guest room was simple but clean, with wooden walls and a single window that offered a view of the sprawling ranch. The sky was a crisp blue, and the storm from the night before had left the ground glistening. He stretched, wincing slightly as the ache in his muscles reminded him of the accident. Slowly, he made his way out of the room, following the faint aroma of coffee. He found Amelia in the kitchen, dressed in boots and a work jacket, her hair pulled back into a ponytail. She was sipping from a chipped mug while flipping through a weathered notebook. "Morning," she said, glancing up. "How are you feeling?" "Better," Liam replied. "Thanks again for everything. I didn't mean to impose." "You didn't impose. But if you're up for it, I could use a hand around here," Amelia said, a sly smile playing on her lips. "No free rides." Liam chuckled, surprised by her directness. "Fair enough. What do you need?" Amelia handed him a pair of gloves. "The horses need feeding, and the fences need mending. Can you handle that?" Liam hesitated. He was no stranger to hard work. His success in the tech industry was built on long hours and determination, but this was a completely different world. Still, he nodded. "I'll give it my best shot." The day began with Amelia showing Liam the basics of caring for the horses. She moved with a natural grace, her deep connection to the animals evident in the way they responded to her. Liam, on the other hand, was awkward and out of his element. He struggled to lift the heavy feed bags and fumbled with the tools needed to repair the fences. "You've never done this before, have you?" Amelia asked, watching him with an amused expression. "Not exactly," Liam admitted, wiping sweat from his brow. "My usual work involves a lot less manure." Amelia laughed, the sound light and genuine. "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. Just remember, the horses can sense if you're nervous. Be calm, and they'll follow your lead." Liam tried to follow her advice as he approached one of the horses, a chestnut mare named Ruby. The horse eyed him warily but eventually allowed him to stroke her neck. Liam felt a strange sense of accomplishment in that small victory. As the day wore on, Liam began to understand the rhythm of life on the ranch. There was something grounding about the physical labor and the open fields, a stark contrast to the high-stakes world he was used to. Amelia worked tirelessly, her hands and clothes streaked with dirt, but there was a quiet contentment about her that Liam found intriguing. During their lunch break, they sat on the porch, eating sandwiches and drinking lemonade. The silence between them was comfortable, broken only by the occasional sound of birds or the rustling of leaves. "This place is beautiful," Liam said, gazing out at the rolling hills. "It is," Amelia agreed, her tone wistful. "But it's not easy. The ranch has been in my family for generations, but keeping it going has been a challenge, especially since—" She hesitated, her gaze dropping to her hands. "Since what?" Liam prompted gently. Amelia took a deep breath. "Since my parents passed. They left behind a lot of debt, and I've been struggling to keep up. Some days, it feels like I'm fighting a losing battle." Liam felt a pang of sympathy. He understood the weight of responsibility, though in a different context. "Why not sell the ranch?" he asked cautiously. Amelia shook her head firmly. "I can't. This place is all I have left of them. It's more than just land. It's my home, my memories. If I lose this ranch, I lose everything." Her words resonated with Liam, stirring something deep within him. He had spent years chasing success, but he couldn't remember the last time he had felt such a strong connection to anything or anyone. Over the next few days, Liam threw himself into the work. Despite his initial clumsiness, he began to improve under Amelia's patient guidance. He learned how to saddle a horse, repair a broken gate, and even handle the tractor. The physical labor was exhausting, but it also felt strangely rewarding. In the evenings, they would sit by the fire, sharing simple meals and stories. Amelia spoke about her parents, her childhood, and her dreams for the ranch. Liam found himself opening up as well, though he avoided mentioning his wealth or the life he had left behind. He wanted Amelia to see him for who he was in that moment, not as the billionaire he used to be. One evening, as they were sitting outside under a canopy of stars, Amelia turned to him. "You're not like anyone I've ever met," she said, her voice soft. "You work hard, but there's something restless about you, like you're searching for something." Liam hesitated, her words striking a chord. "Maybe I am," he admitted. "I spent most of my life chasing success, but somewhere along the way, I lost sight of what really matters. Being here, working with you, it's the first time in years I felt like I'm doing something real." Amelia studied him, her expression unreadable. "Well, whatever you're searching for, I hope you find it." As the days turned into weeks, Liam became an integral part of the ranch. He and Amelia developed an easy camaraderie, their shared efforts creating a bond that neither of them could ignore. But beneath the surface, Liam felt a growing sense of guilt. He had come to care deeply for Amelia, but he knew he was hiding a part of himself. He wasn't just a man seeking refuge on a ranch. He was Liam Prescott, billionaire tech mogul. And sooner or later, the truth would come out. For now, though, he focused on the work, the land, and the connection he was building with Amelia. The simplicity of ranch life had given him a new perspective, and for the first time in a long while, Liam felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Secrets and sacrifices. Liam's routine on the ranch had become second nature after weeks of hard labor. He woke with the sun, helped Amelia tend to the horses, repaired broken tools, and even began assisting with the bookkeeping. Each day brought a new challenge, and with it, a deepening bond with Amelia. He admired her resilience and determination, and he couldn't deny that his feelings for her were growing stronger. But the secret of his true identity loomed over him like a storm cloud. One crisp morning, Liam found Amelia standing by the paddock, watching the horses graze. The rising sun bathed her in golden light, and for a moment, Liam forgot to breathe. He approached quietly, not wanting to disturb her. "Morning," he said softly. Amelia turned, her face breaking into a warm smile. "Morning. Sleep well?" "Well enough," he replied. "What's on the agenda today?" Amelia shrugged, her gaze returning to the horses. "The usual. Feed the horses, mend some fences. But we also need to figure out how to pay the next installment on the loan." Liam frowned. He knew the ranch was in financial trouble, but he hadn't realized how dire the situation was. "How much do you owe?" "Too much," Amelia admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. "I've been doing everything I can to keep up, but the bank isn't exactly patient. If I miss another payment—" She trailed off, unwilling to voice the possibility. Liam's heart clenched. He wanted to tell her who he really was, to assure her that he could solve her problems with a single phone call. But he knew that doing so would only complicate things. Amelia valued independence above all else, and he didn't want her to see him as a lifeline rather than a partner. Instead, he said, "Maybe we can come up with a way to bring in more income. Have you thought about offering riding lessons or hosting events?" Amelia glanced at him, her expression skeptical. "I've thought about it, but those things require upfront investment. Money I don't have." Liam nodded, filing the information away. He would find a way to help her, even if it meant working in secret. That evening, as Amelia prepared dinner, Liam excused himself and stepped outside to make a phone call. He walked to the far edge of the property, ensuring he was out of earshot. The crisp night air bit at his skin, but he ignored it as he pulled out his phone and dialed a familiar number. "Ethan, it's me," he said when the call connected. "Liam. Finally. You've been off the grid for weeks," Ethan replied, his voice tinged with both relief and irritation. Ethan was Liam's childhood friend and business partner, the only person who knew where Liam had gone. "I need a favor," Liam said, cutting to the chase. I need you to set up an anonymous fund, enough to cover a substantial loan and keep a small ranch running. Ethan was silent for a moment. A ranch? What's going on, Liam? It's complicated, Liam admitted. Just trust me. Can you do it? Of course, Ethan said. But you know this won't stay secret forever. If you're getting involved like this, you're going to have to come clean eventually. I know, Liam said, his voice heavy. But not yet. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Liam threw himself into the work, all while quietly orchestrating the financial lifeline the ranch desperately needed. Ethan had arranged for an anonymous donation to cover the loan's next payment, buying Amelia more time to stabilize the ranch's finances. Liam made sure the transaction was seamless, careful to avoid leaving any trace that could lead back to him. Amelia, meanwhile, began noticing small changes. The bank had suddenly extended her payment deadline, and she received a letter informing her of reduced interest rates. At first, she chalked it up to luck, but as the coincidences piled up, she couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was behind it. One evening, as she and Liam sat by the fire, she turned to him and said, "It's strange. For months, the bank was breathing down my neck, and now they're suddenly giving me a break. It doesn't make sense." Liam kept his expression neutral, though his heart raced. Maybe they realized you're making progress and decided to cut you some slack. Maybe, Amelia said, though she didn't sound convinced. She studied Liam for a moment, her gaze searching. "You've been a mystery since the day I met you. Sometimes I wonder if there's more to you than you're letting on." Liam's stomach tightened. He met her gaze, debating whether to tell her the truth, but the fear of losing her trust kept him silent. Instead, he said, "I'm just a guy trying to figure things out, same as you." Amelia seemed to accept his answer, but the doubt lingered in her eyes. As time went on, the ranch began to show signs of recovery. The horses were healthier, the facilities were improving, and Amelia's spirits were higher than they had been in months. She and Liam worked side by side every day, their partnership growing stronger with each shared success. But the weight of Liam's secret continued to bear down on him. He knew he couldn't keep it hidden forever, especially as his feelings for Amelia deepened. He wanted to be honest with her, to show her the man he truly was, but he also feared that revealing the truth would destroy the bond they had built. One day, as they repaired a section of the paddock fence, Amelia said, "You know, I don't think I could have done all this without you. You've been my rock, Liam." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He wanted to tell her that she was the one holding everything together, that he was just a man trying to keep up with her strength and resilience. But instead, he forced a smile and said, "I'm just doing my part." Amelia smiled back, but Liam could see the gratitude in her eyes. It only made his guilt more unbearable. That night, as he lay in bed, Liam made a decision. He couldn't keep living a lie. Amelia deserved to know the truth, no matter the cost. The thought terrified him, but he knew it was the right thing to do. Tomorrow, he would tell her everything. Truth unveiled. The next morning dawned quiet and cool, with a mist hanging low over the fields. Liam stood at the edge of the paddock, staring at the horses grazing lazily in the distance. He had hardly slept, his mind consumed with the decision he had made the night before. Today was the day he would tell Amelia the truth, and the thought of her reaction filled him with a dread he hadn't felt in years. He heard her approach before he saw her, the soft crunch of boots on gravel unmistakable. Turning, he saw Amelia walking toward him, her hands stuffed into the pockets of her jacket. Her hair was loose, and she looked more relaxed than he had seen her in weeks. "Morning," she said, giving him a warm smile. "You're up early." "So are you," Liam replied, managing a weak smile. "I guess neither of us can stay in bed when there's work to do." Amelia chuckled, but her expression shifted as she noticed the tension in his shoulders. "You okay? You seem off." Liam took a deep breath, steeling himself. "Amelia, can we talk?" There's something I need to tell you. Her brow furrowed in concern. Of course. What's on your mind? He gestured toward the porch of the farmhouse. Let's sit down. This might take a while. They sat side by side on the worn wooden bench, the early morning sun casting a golden glow over the ranch. Liam stared at his hands, gathering his thoughts, while Amelia watched him with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. I've been keeping something from you, he began, his voice low. Something important. Amelia frowned but said nothing, waiting for him to continue. I'm not who you think I am, Liam said, forcing himself to meet her gaze. I mean, I am Liam, but there's more to me than what I've let on. Before I came here, I was, well, I am a billionaire. I built a tech company from the ground up, and I've spent the last decade running it. That car you found me in wasn't just a rental. It's mine. I'm not some lost traveler looking for purpose. I came here to escape. Amelia's expression shifted from confusion to shock. She opened her mouth to speak but closed it again, her thoughts clearly racing. Liam pressed on, his words tumbling out in a rush. I didn't mean to deceive you. At first, I didn't tell you because I didn't think it mattered. Then, as I got to know you, I realized how much it did matter. I didn't want you to see me differently, to think I was just some rich guy trying to play hero. I wanted to prove to you, and to myself, that I could be more than my wealth. Amelia stood abruptly, her arms crossed over her chest. You lied to me, she said, her voice trembling. All this time, you let me believe you were just a regular guy. You worked beside me, shared meals with me, listened to me talk about my struggles, and you never thought to tell me the truth. Liam stood too, his heart pounding. I know I should have told you sooner, but I was scared. I didn't want to ruin what we have. And I've been trying to help. Help? Amelia interrupted, her eyes flashing. What does that mean? Liam hesitated, then admitted, I arranged for the bank to extend your loan and lower your interest rates. I've been using my resources to ease your financial burden. Amelia's jaw dropped, and for a moment, she was too stunned to speak. You've been paying off my debts. Not directly, Liam said quickly. I set up an anonymous fund to help with the payments. I wanted to give you a fighting chance without making you feel like you owed me anything. Amelia's face hardened, and you didn't think I had the right to know. You didn't think I could make my own decisions about my ranch. I was trying to help, Liam said, his voice pleading. You've worked so hard, and I couldn't just stand by and watch you lose everything. But I see now that I went about it the wrong way. Amelia turned away, her arms still crossed. She stared out at the fields, her shoulders tense. Do you have any idea how much this place means to me? How much I've sacrificed to keep it going? And you thought you could just swoop in and fix everything without telling me. Liam took a step closer, his heart aching at the pain in her voice. I know I made a mistake, but my feelings for you are real. Everything I've done has been because I care about you, Amelia. I don't want to lose you. Amelia turned back to him, her eyes filled with tears. I don't know if I can trust you, Liam. You've been living a lie since the day we met. How do I know any of this is real? Liam's voice broke as he said, because I've never felt this way about anyone before. Being here with you, working on this ranch, it's the first time in years I've felt like I belong somewhere. I know I've messed up, but I want to make things right. For a long moment, they stood in silence, the weight of Liam's confession hanging between them. Finally, Amelia wiped her eyes and said, I need time to think. Liam nodded, his chest tight. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. The days that followed were strained and awkward. Amelia kept her distance, throwing herself into the work with a new intensity. Liam did the same, respecting her need for space, but longing to bridge the gap between them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Amelia approached him while he was repairing a fence. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a softness in her eyes that gave him hope. I've been thinking about what you said, she began, her voice steady. "And while I'm still angry and hurt, I can't ignore everything you've done for me and this ranch. You've worked hard, not just with your money but with your hands. That means something." Liam set down his tools and faced her. "I'm so sorry, Amelia, for lying, for not trusting you to handle the truth. I want to make it up to you, if you'll let me." Amelia took a deep breath. "You've given me reasons to believe you're more than just a billionaire trying to ease his guilt, but if we're going to move forward, there can't be any more secrets." Liam nodded, his chest swelling with relief. "No more secrets, I promise." Amelia gave him a small smile, the tension between them easing. "Good. Now let's finish fixing this fence. Those horses won't stay in on charm alone." For the first time in days, Liam laughed. Together, they returned to their work, the foundation of trust beginning to rebuild beneath their feet. A new beginning. The days following Liam's confession marked a delicate truce between him and Amelia. Though trust was slowly rebuilding, the wounds left by his deception lingered. Their work on the ranch became a shared language, a way to communicate when words felt insufficient. The rhythm of feeding the horses, mending fences, and tilling the fields created a space where their unspoken emotions could breathe. One morning, as they stood in the barn grooming the horses, Amelia broke the silence. "You've been learning fast," she said, her voice measured but kind. "Ruby doesn't let just anyone near her." Liam smiled faintly, running a brush along Ruby's glossy coat. "I guess I've had a good teacher." Amelia paused, her hand resting on a stall door. "You really do care about this place, don't you?" "I do," Liam said, his tone earnest. "At first, I thought I was just trying to escape my old life. But being here, seeing how much this ranch means to you, I care about it because it's a part of you." Amelia didn't reply immediately, her expression thoughtful. "I'm still figuring out how I feel about everything. But I want to believe you, and I want to believe in what we've been building here." As the weeks passed, their bond deepened once more. The financial relief Liam had orchestrated allowed Amelia to focus on revitalizing the ranch. They worked tirelessly to create new opportunities for income. Amelia took Liam's earlier suggestions seriously and decided to start offering riding lessons and guided tours. The first step was sprucing up the ranch's facilities. The barn, fences, and stables received much-needed repairs, while the fields were cleared to create riding trails. Liam poured his energy into every task, determined to prove that he was here for the long haul. One afternoon, as they painted the barn together, Amelia glanced at Liam, her brush paused mid-stroke. "You know, for someone who used to run a tech empire, you're not half bad with a hammer and paintbrush." Liam chuckled. "I'll take that as a compliment. Honestly, I think I like this better. There's something satisfying about seeing the results of your work right in front of you." Amelia smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "Maybe you've found your calling, then." The launch of the riding lessons was a community event. Amelia and Liam invited the local townspeople to visit the ranch, offering free trial rides for the day. The turnout was better than they had hoped. Families arrived with excited children, couples came for a quiet escape, and even a few older residents showed up to reminisce about the ranch's glory days. Amelia was in her element, guiding riders with ease and sharing stories about the horses. Liam watched her from a distance, his heart swelling with admiration. She was radiant, her passion for the ranch shining through in every interaction. "You're staring," Amelia teased as she walked up to him, brushing straw off her jeans. "Can you blame me?" Liam replied, grinning. "You've turned this place into something amazing." Her cheeks flushed slightly, but she held his gaze. "We did it together." The success of the event marked a turning point. Word spread quickly, and bookings for riding lessons and tours began to trickle in. The ranch's income stabilized, and Amelia started making headway on the remaining debts. The weight that had hung over her for so long began to lift. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam and Amelia sat on the porch, their work for the day complete. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, the air filled with the chirping of crickets. Amelia broke the comfortable silence. "You know, when I first found you in that storm, I had no idea how much you'd change my life." Liam looked at her, his expression serious. "You've changed mine too. Being here with you has made me realize what I was missing. I don't want to go back to the life I had before. This is where I want to be." Amelia's gaze softened. "You're not just saying that." "No," Liam said firmly. "This ranch, this life, it's real in a way nothing else has ever been. And so are my feelings for you." Amelia studied him for a moment, then reached out and took his hand. "I believe you, and I'm glad you stayed." Their partnership evolved into something deeper, rooted in mutual respect and a shared vision for the ranch. They worked together to plan the next phase of the ranch's revival, from hosting seasonal events to starting a small produce garden to complement the riding lessons. One day, as they walked the trails they had cleared together, Liam stopped and turned to Amelia. "There's something I want to ask you." Amelia raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple yet elegant ring. "Amelia, I've been on a journey to find myself, and that journey led me to you. You've shown me what it means to truly live, to care, and to love. I want to build a life with you, here on this ranch, for the rest of our days. Will you marry me?" Amelia's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him, her heart swelling with emotion. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with happiness. "Yes, I'll marry you." Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, and they embraced under the open sky, their love stronger than ever. Together, they had turned the stormy chaos of their first meeting into a foundation for a shared future, a life filled with hope, hard work, and the promise of endless possibilities. Their engagement brought a renewed sense of purpose to both Liam and Amelia. The ranch became not just a place of labor, but a symbol of their partnership, love, and shared dreams. The ring on Amelia's finger was modest, much like the life they had built together, but it carried a profound meaning, a testament to their journey through deception, forgiveness, and growth, strengthening the community. With their future together solidified, Liam and Amelia began involving the local community more actively in the ranch's operations. Amelia reached out to nearby schools and organizations, inviting children and families to learn about the horses and ranch life. She and Liam also launched weekend workshops on animal care, which quickly gained popularity. One weekend, during a workshop, Amelia noticed a young boy struggling to approach one of the horses. His timid demeanor reminded her of herself as a child, unsure but full of potential. She crouched beside him, offering gentle encouragement. "Ruby's a gentle soul," Amelia said, placing the boy's hand on the horse's side. "She'll trust you if you trust her." The boy's face lit up as Ruby nuzzled his hand, and Amelia felt a swell of pride. This, she realized, was what the ranch was meant for, not just as a livelihood, but as a place where people could find connection, healing, and confidence. Liam watched from a distance, a smile tugging at his lips. He saw the way Amelia inspired others, her passion radiating like the sun. It reaffirmed his decision to stay, to build a life with her that was about more than material wealth. Facing new challenges, despite their progress, the ranch wasn't without its struggles. One afternoon, while Liam was reviewing the ranch's financial records, he noticed an upcoming balloon payment that Amelia hadn't mentioned. It was sizable enough to threaten their recent gains. "Amelia," he said, approaching her as she cleaned the barn, "we need to talk about the finances." She wiped her hands on a rag and gave him a cautious look. "What is it?" "There's a large payment due soon, larger than what we've planned for," Liam explained. "How were you planning to cover it?" Amelia sighed, leaning against the barn wall. "I was hoping we'd bring in enough from the new programs. If not, I thought about selling some of the land near the edge of the property. It's not ideal, but I can't lose the ranch." Liam's heart ached at her determination to shoulder the burden alone. "You don't have to do this by yourself anymore," he said gently. "We're a team now. Let's figure it out together." Together, they brainstormed ways to generate additional income. Liam proposed expanding their workshops into full-day events and hosting seasonal festivals on the ranch. Amelia suggested reaching out to local businesses for sponsorships, offering them advertising in exchange for financial support. They worked tirelessly to bring their ideas to life, spending long nights planning and early mornings preparing the ranch. Their bond grew even stronger as they tackled the challenge head-on, their trust in each other deepening with every hurdle they overcame. A festival to remember. The first seasonal festival they hosted was a resounding success. The ranch buzzed with activity as families enjoyed horse rides, games, and live music. Local vendors set up booths, selling handmade goods and fresh produce, and the sense of community was palpable. Liam and Amelia moved through the crowd, greeting guests and ensuring everything ran smoothly. At one point, Amelia found herself standing near the paddock, watching a group of children giggle as they petted the horses. Liam joined her, his arm brushing against hers. "Look at this," Liam said, his voice filled with awe. "You've turned this place into something extraordinary." "We've turned it into something extraordinary," Amelia corrected, giving him a smile. "I couldn't have done it without you." As the festival wound down and the last guests departed, Liam and Amelia stood together under the stars, exhaustion mingling with satisfaction. "We did it," Amelia said, leaning her head against Liam's shoulder. "We did," Liam agreed, wrapping an arm around her. "And this is just the beginning." Planning their future. With the ranch on stable footing, Liam and Amelia began planning their wedding. They decided to hold the ceremony on the ranch, surrounded by the land and animals that had brought them together. Amelia wanted something simple and intimate, and Liam wholeheartedly agreed. As they worked on the details, they continued to dream about the ranch's future. They envisioned expanding their programs, building partnerships with local schools, and even creating a retreat space for people seeking solace and connection with nature. "We're going to build something amazing," Liam said one evening as they sat on the porch, their hands intertwined. "We already have," Amelia replied, her voice filled with quiet pride. Their journey had been far from easy, but it had taught them both the power of honesty, resilience, and love. Together, they had turned the stormy chaos of their first meeting into a life rich with purpose and promise. And as they looked out over the ranch, they knew they were exactly where they were meant to be, building a future side by side. A life built on love and legacy. The wedding day dawned with a golden light that bathed the ranch in a warm glow. Birds chirped in the distance, the horses moved about peacefully in their paddocks, and a gentle breeze rustled through the trees. For Amelia, it felt as though nature itself had blessed this day. The ranch, now thriving and alive with new purpose, stood as a testament to the hard work, trust, and love she and Liam had poured into it. Amelia sat in her childhood bedroom, a room she hadn't used much since her parents had passed. Today, it felt alive again. Her best friend, Emma, was helping her with her hair, weaving small flowers into the loose braid that fell over her shoulder. "You look beautiful, Amelia," Emma said with a grin. "But it's not just the dress or the flowers. It's you. You've come alive again." Amelia smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. "I think I have." Liam, he changed everything. Not just for the ranch, but for me. I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again. Emma nodded, squeezing her hand. "He's a good man, and you deserve this happiness." Liam stood outside the barn, adjusting his tie nervously. Ethan, his best man, handed him a glass of water and clapped him on the back. "You've faced corporate takeovers, billion-dollar deals, and media storms," Ethan teased. "And now you're nervous about getting married." Liam laughed, shaking his head. "This is different. This is real. It's the most important thing I've ever done." Ethan's grin softened. "You've found something special, Liam. And for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. This place, this life you've built with Amelia, it's incredible." Liam glanced toward the house, his heart swelling. "It's more than I ever thought I deserved." The ceremony took place under the ancient oak tree that had stood on the ranch for generations. Chairs were arranged in neat rows, and wildflowers adorned every surface, their bright colors a perfect match for the joy that filled the air. Friends from the town, local families, and even a few of Liam's closest business associates had come to celebrate. As the music began to play, everyone turned to watch Amelia walk down the makeshift aisle. She wore a simple yet elegant white dress, her face glowing with happiness. Liam felt his breath catch in his throat. In that moment, surrounded by the people they loved and the land they had nurtured, everything felt perfect. The ceremony was heartfelt and intimate, their vows reflecting the journey they had taken together. Liam spoke of how Amelia had shown him the value of simplicity and connection, while Amelia spoke of how Liam had taught her to trust and dream again. "I promise to stand by you, to work with you, and to build a life we're both proud of," Liam said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "And I promise to share this life with you," Amelia replied, tears shining in her eyes. "To love you for who you are and to build a future together. Here on this land we've made our home." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the crowd erupted into cheers, and Liam pulled Amelia into a kiss that was as much a promise as it was an expression of their love. The reception was held in the barn, which had been transformed with strings of lights, long wooden tables, and wildflower centerpieces. The laughter of children mixed with the clinking of glasses and the upbeat tunes of a local band. Guests feasted on homemade dishes, many of which Amelia had grown up eating, and the atmosphere was one of pure joy. As the evening wore on, Liam and Amelia shared their first dance as husband and wife. The barn fell silent as they swayed to the music, their smiles never wavering. "You've made me the happiest man alive," Liam whispered, his forehead resting against hers. "And you've shown me what it means to hope again," Amelia replied softly. Their dance ended to a chorus of applause, and soon the dance floor was filled with guests, spinning and laughing under the warm glow of the lights. A future together. The weeks following the wedding brought new challenges and opportunities for the ranch. The success of the writing lessons and workshops had inspired Liam and Amelia to expand further. They began working on plans to host summer camps for children, equine therapy programs, and even a small retreat center for people seeking a peaceful escape. Their partnership grew stronger with every decision, every project, and every moment they shared. Liam's experience in business brought a new level of organization and strategy to the ranch, while Amelia's passion and knowledge of the land kept them grounded in their purpose. One day, as they stood at the edge of the property, looking out over the rolling fields, Amelia turned to Liam. "Do you ever miss your old life? The city, the money, the prestige?" Liam shook his head, his gaze steady. "Not for a second. This is where I'm meant to be. With you, building something real." Amelia smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "Then let's keep building. A legacy of love." Years later, the ranch had become a hub of activity and joy. Children's laughter filled the air during summer camps. Families gathered for seasonal festivals, and people from all walks of life found peace and healing among the horses and open fields. Liam and Amelia worked side by side every day, their love and commitment evident in everything they did. They had built a life that was not just about survival, but about thriving, a life rooted in love, resilience, and purpose. And as they sat on the porch one evening, watching the sunset with their first child playing at their feet, Amelia took Liam's hand and said, "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Liam smiled, his heart full. "We have, and the best is still ahead." Together, they looked out at the ranch they had built, their hearts brimming with gratitude for the life they had created, a life that was uniquely theirs, forged in love and built to last. As the years rolled on, Liam and Amelia's lives intertwined even more deeply with the ranch and the community around them. Their partnership was not just the cornerstone of their marriage, but also the foundation of everything they had built together. Every fence mended, every horse cared for, and every new venture reflected their shared dreams and dedication, growing their family and dreams. 2 years after their wedding, the ranch welcomed a new addition, their first child, a daughter named Clara. The tiny bundle of joy brought a new kind of love into their lives, one that deepened their connection and expanded their vision for the ranch. Liam often carried Clara in a baby carrier as he worked on the land, her laughter echoing through the fields. Amelia found endless joy in teaching Clara about the horses, introducing her to Ruby and the other animals she had grown to love. Their daughter grew up surrounded by nature, the rhythmic heartbeat of the ranch shaping her early years. By the time Clara was old enough to walk, she was already trying to mimic her parents, toddling behind them with a tiny rake or brush. As Clara grew, so did the ranch's reputation. The equine therapy programs became a cornerstone of their mission, helping veterans, children with disabilities, and those recovering from trauma find solace in the presence of the gentle horses. Liam and Amelia poured their hearts into expanding these services, hiring experienced staff, and creating new facilities that blended seamlessly with the natural landscape, a shared legacy. One summer evening, as the three of them sat on the porch after a long day, Clara climbed onto Liam's lap, holding a small, well-worn book. "Daddy, read this one," she said, her voice bright with excitement. Liam chuckled, taking the book from her tiny hands. It was one of Amelia's favorites from her childhood, a simple story about a horse and its rider. As he began to read, Amelia leaned her head against his shoulder, watching as their daughter's eyes lit up with wonder. When the story ended, Clara asked sleepily, "Will we always have the ranch?" Liam looked at Amelia, their shared understanding passing between them. "Yes, sweetheart," he said softly. "This ranch will always be here, just like our family. It's a part of who we are." As Clara drifted off to sleep in his arms, Liam and Amelia sat in silence, the weight of their shared legacy settling over them. They had built something enduring, not just a ranch, but a home filled with love, purpose, and hope. The final chapter. Years later, Liam and Amelia stood together at the edge of the property, watching Clara, now a young woman, guide a group of children through the fields on horseback. The ranch had grown beyond their wildest dreams, but its heart remained the same, a place of healing, connection, and love. "We did it," Liam said, his voice tinged with pride and emotion. "We turned this place into something bigger than ourselves." Amelia smiled, her eyes misty as she looked out over the land. "We didn't just save the ranch, Liam. We created a life worth living, a life we can pass on." Liam wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. "And I couldn't have done any of it without you." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the fields in golden light, they stood together, their hands entwined. The ranch was more than a home or a livelihood. It was their story, a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and the power of love. And as they watched Clara laugh with the children, the horses grazing peacefully nearby, Liam and Amelia knew they had built not just a legacy, but a life filled with meaning and joy, a life that would endure for generations to come.